obviously will let you down most times.
Are you just going to sit here for the next 10 years to the same thing about Tottenham well done getting the Champions League?
What has gone wrong with Tottenham Hotspur?
The Same Old Spurs podcast with Majestic and Gazza.
Welcome along to the Same Old Spurs podcast. Myself, Madge, aka Kev, my good friend Gaz, of course. Hello, Gaz. How you doing?
How you doing? You alright?
Yeah, very good, mate. I actually come and watch you play football today, didn't I?
Yeah, at all.
On the side, like, come on, Gazza!
Yeah, my little girl was there. My mum, my dad, got everyone over there.
How do you think you played?
EP poor. That's it,
And
mate.
that's end product for anyone at home.
Says it. EP poor.
So yeah, as you just seen from the montage there, we are joined this week, firstly by one legend, that is Andrew King, aka Gaz's brother, who is a big West Ham fan and a Spurs player, a West Ham player, Brighton player. This guy had a massive career and he's a massive man. We're actually in awe of the stature of this man, Bobby Zamora. How you doing, Bob?
All good, my man. All good. Pleased to be here.
Oh, we're so pleased to have you. Obviously, it's the international break. A lot of people are asking, are we going to have an international break this week, Gaz? We said no.
Yeah, no international break. We're getting to it. Big game against West Ham when everyone returns.
When we return next week, next Sunday actually, Spurs versus West Ham, which obviously the rivalry is fierce between the two clubs, and someone who's played for both, in actual fact, knocked out West Ham in the Cup, Mr. Bobby Zamora. Bobby, it's so good to have you here. I just wanted to start on this whole Spurs versus West Ham. You played in an epic derby, the 4-3 that Spurs won. What a game. That's actually it's a Premier League classic. You was involved. Talk to me through a derby day, because you've played on both sides for both teams in a massive derby, Spurs West Ham. What does it mean to the clubs?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, yes, there's the points, but then there's the fans. That's the thing that you don't want to let down. Those are the people you don't want to let down. And for both sets of fans, they'll both let you know if you haven't produced, if you haven't put in the performance, if you haven't smashed somebody, if you haven't worked hard. So those are the games. There's certainly no hiding, and you certainly need to take a scalp or two. Whether it's score a goal, create something special, put someone in the stand, someone stretch it off, you get bonus points.
So speaking of rivalries, as I said, Gaz, we've got your brother, your big bro here, Andrew. He's a West Ham fan. How does that happen?
Let me gloss over that first.
You're going to gloss over, right? We're going to have two sides of the story here. Let's go with Gaz's version, then the official version.
Let me come in. Obviously, in most cases, what happens is your father leads the way, yeah? So he'll go to you, this is the team we're going to support. We all set about Tottenham. Tottenham was our team. And then he decided to jump ship. And it all worked out wrong for him. So he has to look back and he has to own that and he has to wear that for the rest of his life. Do you know what I mean? He could have been a Spurs boy, but he's a West Ham fan.
Andrew, your version of events, please.
My version of events is 14, 15 years old. Spurs, at the time, I wouldn't say were the greatest sort of team going. And I took a liking to West Ham. Went over there a couple of times, caught the bug. 20 years later, I'm still here repping. So,
yeah,
big up West Ham.
There you go.
To be fair, there ain't that many trophies that Spurs have won that the West Ham ain't in that time. So it's not like
Bobby's
what I mean.
got the West Ham hat on there.
Yeah. It's not like it's not like it's United or someone like that have gone away with mad
Definitely
trophies.
not done it for glory, that's for sure.
Both said.
But I tell you one thing, I think Spurs and West Ham do have in common as clubs, and I'm, got a lot of West Ham friends, proper West Ham, do you know what I mean? And, there is a massive rivalry. I think we're both, in terms of clubs, as you said, in the last 30 years, underachievers. Some of the players that have gone through West Ham especially, and see what the attraction would have been. As you said, it will sicken some Spurs fans watching it and me saying it, but there's been times I've watched West Ham and I've really enjoyed their football. There's a few seasons I was like, well, they're doing some bits. Do you feel as a West Ham fan, Andrew, like West Ham have underachieved? What kind of height should West Ham be hitting as a club?
It's an awkward one, really, because I mean, if you ask the West Ham supporters, we're not asking or demanding for us to win trophies. We just want a team to go out, compete. I mean, most West Ham fans, if you asked them, would be happy with a mid-table finish and a good cup run. We're not expecting much, but what we do expect is the players that play put a bit of effort in and run about and show that they actually care for West Ham, and then you won't get a lot of West Ham supporters moaning about.
They're on their cases over there at the minute, the chairman, aren't they?
They are. Well, I mean, it's an awkward time at the moment, but I will say this season, to give David Moyes credit, and I'm not his biggest fan.
Yeah, definitely.
The last couple of results have been the best I've seen West Ham play for the last 2 or 3 years, so he's obviously doing something right there. I think the one thing he has brought to the team is every single player works hard. There's a few players in there I was upset that he weren't picking Anderson, Lanzinis and people like that, and they've been put on the side because they don't work hard enough. And so credit to David Moyes, whatever he's doing, it's working, and rolling into the Tottenham game. I hope it continues.
Feel for you, mate. Next week.
As I was saying, Bobby's had the pleasure of playing for both clubs, and leading up to a big derby day between Spurs and West Ham, going into training that week before the game, etc. This is why it's such a great insight to have someone, like yourself, who's actually been at the highest level and played those games. What is the pressure like? What's being discussed amongst the lads at the training ground? Because obviously, as fans going into the game, we're going to be building up the whole week now because it's the running joke. It's the West Ham Cup final. I've seen us lose a few times to West Ham. It's a massive moment for you guys. What's it like in training leading up to such a game, Bob?
Do you know what? For me, who's a Londoner, I know about London derbies. You want to be involved in it. You want to be involved in it. Nowadays, I think now it's a case of, can you get across to a lot of the foreign boys how big the game is? Because if you can sell it to them that it's a big game, they come with a different attitude. Do you know what I mean? They come with, I'm going to get smashed today, or I've got to smash someone today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that penny drops for those boys, it makes a big difference on a Saturday. I know you shouldn't have to get up for games. You shouldn't have to any Premier League game. But one, it's a derby. Two, it's very, very different. And three, the expectation of the fans is even higher than any normal Premier League game, which is strange because, like I say, you should always be giving your best. It's mad, right?
Yeah.
It's mad. You think that. You're getting paid a fortune. You're going out and you should be working at 110% every single time. If there's a tackle there, you should be smashing and winning the ball. But it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, is it almost like they have to play in it to sort of experience it?
They have to get smashed first.
Yeah.
And then oh shit, you know what, actually, it's a game today.
Yeah.
It's one of them ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's mad, isn't
it? Yeah, for me, I loved being involved in them. And there's times where there are players, I don't know, the likes of, like James Collins, you think, buzzing, he's playing today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going to smash somebody. I would not want to be up front. Do you know what I mean? So just it's you're looking around the changing room, seeing who's going to be fit. Is the gaffer going to go with football today, or is he going to go with roll up and try and beat
Interesting,
him up?
That it's so interesting because you do have,
and it is for us. We're sitting all week training and thinking, what way, for me anyway, like a Londoner, knowing. Yeah. It's a big game, and what way is the gaffer going to go?
So, saying that, it's great to have the insight. And as you said, as a Londoner, you understand that passion between fans and the clubs and the little rivalries. What standout derbies in your mind have you been involved in? Because this is for us as fans. We play football. We played football at a very low level in comparison to Kozievski. Hold on, no, but in comparison to the heights that we all dream of getting to. You've been in that position where you've got to that stage and played those massive games that are now being re-shown on TV as Premier League classics. What moments or derbies stand out for you?
The West Ham ones, really. So we were the last team to win at Highbury. I scored in that one. Fantastic game. And the first team to win at the Emirates. So for me, they scored in that one as well. Do you know what I mean?
And the first team to win at our stadium as well, West Ham. There you go. Yeah. Antonio, wasn't it?
Yeah. So those two really, like you say, the 4-3. That one killed me because I come on, first touch, header, bang.
Great goal.
I give the ball away in the corner of your pitch, and they break all the way down. So I know, listen, you still got to go past 4 players, but it's you just give the ball away. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, it hurts. That
was like Luke Gilbert today. Gave away the ball in the park. Gilbert, I'm calling you out, son. I saw it. Don't think I forgot.
But it's interesting you say that because I was with him watching that game, and it's just like 2 brothers, 1 house, seeing it all unfold. Like mad, do you know what I mean? Bobby's goal, and then we got the luck, we got the break, and then Jermaine's through, and you think, go on, Jay, go on, like everyone's up, now you're up. Yeah, and then the shot, and then Paul Stalteri never scored a goal in his life, I don't think. He's tucked one in, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, but saying that, my first goal for Spurs, I still get caned by a couple of my pals now. I'm West Ham fans as well. And they're like, I can't believe you celebrated. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it was like I was at Spurs. I just signed. Well, not just signed. I've been there a while. Was desperate to do well, desperate to score. And do you know what I mean? It was against West Ham. It could have been against anyone. It was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knocked him out of the cup.
Yeah. It was like afterwards, it's like, oh shit, I got some pelters from my pals. I know that, but yeah, you know, it was just an emotional day for me.
So let's look forward to the game next week, and having your insight is going to be massive for us on the podcast this week, looking into the game. Obviously, Spurs coming off a massive win against Man United, 6-1. No one saw that coming. And West Ham having a massive win against Leicester, 3-0. Yeah. So this is a massive game because, as we said already, West Ham always up for these games against Spurs. And you're both going into it with some form. And the prospect of that man, Gareth Bale, being back involved is exciting for all fans of football in general. You know, what have you made of the season so far? I know it's early doors, but you've seen both teams play.
Yeah, well, just for me, listen, I love Mourinho. I love him. I really think he's special. And that comes from the players that he's worked with who are friends of mine. Do you know what I mean? That are not biased. They've worked with him. They know what he's about. I think the time that he went to United, I just think that the club, to be honest, on whole, is just not in the right place. I think there's probably a couple of characters in there that rule the changing room a little bit, and yeah, and
it's mad. It's mad that you know what I mean.
It is, but it happens. Yeah. But it happens, and I don't think it probably wasn't the right fit, the right time for Mourinho. But for me, he's fantastic. I love him. Even the documentary that's fantastic. Love seeing him work on that. So he's going to do well at Spurs. I just hope that the fans give him a little bit of time. You know, the people upstairs give him a little bit of time. But he's special. I like him.
Would you say we're still split on him? Not me and you, but Spurs fans in the whole, because you do get people who love him, and you get people that hate him still.
I still think the love affair with Maurizio is very poignant for a lot of Spurs fans. Obviously, for us, getting to the Champions League final, the football we were playing under him, you know, in and amongst the top of the league, you know, there is a love affair. But, you know, majority of Spurs fans are ready for the next phase. You know, we love Maurizio. Maybe one day he comes back as a winner, hopefully. But as you said, now's the time to give Jose that chance. You're a professional footballer. Your friends are professional footballers. They're saying this guy's magic. You know, what is it about Mourinho that would make him special?
Just his attention to detail is, you know, he knows every session that he's going to do for the next like 3-4 months, and he knows the second you finish a session, you're on to the next bit. You know, you got 1 minute to take a sip of water, then you're onto there, bang, you're off, you're going. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everything's planned. There's nothing that he doesn't know. He knows everything about every player that you're coming up against. You know, every stat, like he will know. Like he knows everything. People don't realise that. And when the guys that have worked with him, even like when sometimes I've popped into Chelsea training ground to go and see one or two people, and he's straight up, how are you, Bobby, how's everything, boom. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't expect that from someone who's done so much in the game to be coming over out his way, boom, how's everything, you know what I mean?
Well, there was even that article that come out today about when Casilla had a heart attack, and obviously they fell out Real Madrid, but he was like the first person on the phone to him, reaching out and the support on that. So like you said, he does, and again on the documentary, he comes across as quite a person, as quite a people's person, ironically, when you think he's the opposite. Yeah. You know, and as you said, your own personal experience with him, he has that type of person to say, how you doing? So he seems to build a camaraderie amongst players that it's almost like an army. It's like it's us versus them.
Exactly that. And that's powerful. If you can get the change room of those players to just give you a couple % more on a match day throughout the week, it all adds up.
Sorry. Gareth Bale, have you ever had the opportunity to play against him?
Yeah, played against him, yeah.
What was that like?
I don't think he was the superstar that he was
that he's become
really, but obviously the raw talent was there, the pace, you know, the power, you know, he had that ability, and looking now and what he's done, to be honest, even James Collins, you know, I mean, used to speak to Ginge all the time, Gareth Bale, and he used to rave about him, but I never saw it. He was a good player, and you'd see it, but you know, you can only appreciate things more when you train with someone day in, day out. You know, you can't see everything all the time unless you're with him day in, day out. And Ginge raved about him, and I go with anything Ginge says. You know what I mean? No, he's a top guy. He'll tell you how it is. So
yeah, it's good.
But yeah, he's a fantastic player. What a career! He's I mean, it's mad the abuse that he's got over in Madrid, the stuff that he's won, the things that he's done, the goals that he's scored. You know, it's mad. But that's football and that's football fans.
That's the pressure of being a Galactico as well. You're playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. They don't care. They want results, and if it's not every single week, then they're going to get onto you. That's just, that's the highest heights of football. Andrew, going into the game, Spurs West Ham, as a West Ham fan, you must have been buzzing after that result against Leicester. We didn't see it coming. I don't think anyone's accumulators come in that weekend for him.
It's strange because we started off against Newcastle 2-0, like absolutely expectation level for us to go into that game and start off well, terrible. Then we played against Arsenal, played really well. I thought we was unlucky to not win.
Yeah, I thought he was unlucky in it,
got a couple of results good in the Cup. Went on and beat Wolves 4-0 when you're thinking, is that going to be a one-off? Because with us, you're used to playing like that and then losing 3 or 4-0 the week after. And we followed it through. Great result. I think a big thing for us is the change of formation that we've gone to 3 at the back and Masuaku and Fredericks as the wing-backs. It suits them better. A lot of pace, better going forward than they are defending. Midfield that Susek and Rice are big, powerful, compete against any midfield, and Antonio's playing really well at the moment.
He's got a couple out the door last week as well, didn't he? We was alluding to them players who might not be on board 100%.
Yeah, they're all working hard.
I think Anderson's gone last week, didn't he, as well? So yeah,
as confident as we can be going into a London derby.
Yeah, definitely.
And what about Spurs' start to the season, Bobby? What have you seen since Mourinho's getting his team together? Because, last year he came into a Spurs squad that was very deflated after the Champions League final, and it just seemed like Maurizio had lost the dressing room somehow. There was a lot of ego starting to rise, and I think now, like you said, if you can get that dressing room on board to get that extra 2% out of them, I feel like we're starting to get there now.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously he took a hit with the injuries that happened last year. You can't take into account how much of an effect that can take out of a team's performance to have your best players out for a long, long time. And I think that now, he's had time to work with them. He's recruited a few players in that he wants, and the tide's slowly starting to turn. So I think it'll be a good year for Spurs. I think Mourinho will work some magic. They've started off where I expected them to start off. Really, some good performances. Like you say, the result last week, madness. Never would have seen that, but great to see.
It's such a funny game as well, football, isn't it, Bobby? Like one week you're up and then the next week you're down. It don't take much for it to go for the manager or not go for the manager, and people to be with him or go against him. It's just crazy football at times. At the minute, where everyone's with him, but we lose a few games and could easily change. Everyone's we don't want Mourinho. Football's just crazy at times, but it's what it is.
We're seeing a lot of goals being conceded and scored, obviously, in the Premier League at the moment.
Loads.
From playing in front of thousands of people week in, week out, the lack of fans in the stadiums right now. How is that affecting the way the game's being played and the way the players are approaching those games?
Yeah, that's huge for me. I don't think those results happen if there are fans in a stadium. I really don't. That Liverpool one, that's just madness. I don't think the Liverpool fans would have let their team get destroyed like that. The same as United. It's certainly missing. I remember is it Liverpool derby this weekend? Is it Liverpool this weekend?
It might possibly be. I think it is.
Not this. Yeah. But I remember watching the end of last season. I think when it was no fans in the stadium. Then I think it was one of the first games, and I'm watching it thinking this is the worst Liverpool-Everton derby I've ever seen. Like, no tackles. Like, I don't think there was one yellow card in a Liverpool-Everton derby. And that's purely because of the fans. Like, no fans in the stadium.
Funny you say that. Did you watch the Leeds-Liverpool game as well? Leeds were scoring. It was just like, it was a training ground. They were going a little spud. And it was like, if that's Leeds, you're doing knee slides, you're doing all sorts if that's with fans.
That's 45,000 fans
it was
in
mad.
the Leeds stadium.
Yeah,
mental.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a fantastic stadium, fantastic place to go and play football, and those fans are mad up there as well. So yeah, it's missed. And to be fair, Leeds have hit the ground running this year. Fair play to them, but they'd be even stronger and even better playing at Ellen Road with 45,000 fans in there.
There is a massive campaign TalkSport have launched about let the fans back in, and us here as well. We want to see that as well. I think fans are so important to the football game. Fans at derbies, especially, the West Ham fans. When I've been over there, I've seen us win, I've seen us lose, and those fans, they are like a 12th player at a derby. What was it like playing in front of those fans? Let's go to the West Ham fans, especially because we know how excited they get over the Spurs. West Ham derby. 'Cause sometimes I do feel like us as Spurs fans, we're like, bruv, we care about the Arsenal game. Like you lot, cool, safe. Like, but the when West Ham Spurs come to town, it's the circus. What was it like playing in front of those fans at those derbies, Bob?
Like I said at the start, they let you know what game it is. Do you know what I mean? They let you know if you're not producing, but you can be having a bad game. You can be having a bad game if you know you're having a bad game. It's, you know what? I'm having a shit one here, but let me just smash someone, and I'm getting a 4 in the paper, but I'm getting a 9 from the fans. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah, love
it's
that.
bad.
Your get out of jail card is smashing someone in the head.
It is, yeah. If you can get them stretchered off, yeah, you're sweet for a while. But it's mad, yeah. The fans are passionate. They know that it means so much to them. Listen, they've got to go to work and come up against their pals, you know, at work or down the pub, and it's our graft for them.
Would you say there was a difference in pressure at clubs? So in the derby. So with your Tottenham hat on, was it? Were you obviously you're expected to win that game, I suppose. Whereas when you're at West Ham, I would think that Spurs at this current time going into a game with West Ham would be favourites all day long. Yeah, probably going back maybe the last 10 years or so. That's probably the same thing. So with your hat on Spurs, is it pressure because you're sort of you're the favourites really to go out and do the business?
Yeah, I suppose you do have your favourites sort of mindset, but that's not a nice pressure at times though. That's not personally. I prefer to play underdogs. I really do. I'd much rather play against United and Liverpool and whatever rather than the teams that are down the bottom.
Yeah.
I would. I don't know. Like I said before, I don't know why. You should always be up for games, whatever game it is. But for those big games and those,
you go and express yourself. You feel as if you're going to express yourself in a different way.
It is.
Yeah.
It's mad. And like I say, you should be the same for every game, but it's not.
Pressure on the derby game, as you said, it's massive, especially because of the fans and how they get onto you. How does that compare to, say, an international fixture? We was talking before the podcast about how the international scene right now, as fans, we're not, you know, maybe because the fans aren't in the stadium, we're not really as up for it as we should be watching England. Having played, you know, for England, what's that difference in playing for your country versus playing for your club against, say, your bitter rival? Is it a different pressure?
Do you know what, for me, being in that England fold, and I was in probably 15 squads, something like that. It's a really, really strange place. I've heard Rio and
you're not the only
those guys speak, you know, and I wasn't one of the main guys that was in there every single, you know what I mean, every single squad all the time. But for me going in and seeing like there is a split, you know, there is Chelsea, there is like Man United, do you know what I mean? And there's like the young boys, there's like the black kids, do you know what I mean? It's like it's
really to that level. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but not in a bad way, but just like, you know,
it's quite a natural thing, I suppose. Even when we go over football, you know your pals from school.
Yeah, definitely.
What's happening?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was just really weird, you know. And I remember going in. I knew a lot of the guys, you know what I mean? I'd either grown up with them or you play against them so regularly that you're all pals with it anyway. But it was just really weird when. I remember Damien Duff when I was at Fulham. That was the time when I was in the England squads when I was at Fulham. So Duff obviously used to meet up with the Island boys, and those guys would go if they had like their leg was at a right angle. You know what I mean? They were going, and it was like so passionate to meet up with the boys, have a load of beers, and they just, do you know what I mean? Just have a great time. Whereas England wasn't really like that. It was really, really strange. But I think things have changed a little bit. It seems like the Gareth sort of changed the mindset of being in those squads. So hopefully the results will produce and come from that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that with those little clicks, because we've always wondered what the inside's like. If I'm sitting on the outside looking in, I think a lot of people do expect straight away, hang about, you're playing for your country now, put it all to one side. But when those guys are challenging for the titles, they, you know, as you said, Rio's mentioned, well, I don't want the Chelsea boys to hear our tactics or what we're talking about because it might get leaked back. You know, did you see any of that yourself?
Don't really see it like that, but you know that there is that rivalry, that Chelsea, that versus United, and that Liverpool Man United thing is huge. It's really big, and like for me from the outside, I'm thinking, shit, you know what I mean? Like, it's real. It's real, you know, and yeah, I had to pinch myself and go, actually, yeah, you know what? That certain times a year. Do you know what I mean? If they're the back end of the season and there's like 6, 7, 8 games to go,
would you put that down to that sort of clickiness, would you put that down to the reason why we might have failed in major tournaments, or do you put that down to just not showing up?
No, I think that's a big part of it. I know I've heard Rio speak about it as well. You know, I think that there is that, not that 100% trust in a couple of your teammates just because they're not from the same team as you.
It's mad.
Is
You
mad.
think of it like that when you got Lamps who you ain't trusting Scholesy next to, and it
You
might
know
not
what
be the
I
other
mean?
way around. It's so crazy. The team we had was unreal.
I saw the England team walk out the tunnel the other day. Trippier's captain. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, Jesus, what? 10 years ago, there's like Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard. I just think that, I don't know. I just think the quality. I don't know. Maybe that's me, but I just thought the quality of player then to what walked out, and the boys done fantastic the other night, but that walked out the change room, I just thought, God, it's like men versus boys.
Yeah,
it seemed like to me.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
not the characters. Like you said, the names you're reeling off there, they're characters. A lot of them
big.
are in a lot of our all-time Premier League 11s. Like these are.
But they're all in the same. They're all in that same era.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? And they're all in that same team for a number of years. And I still can't. I'm like, how did they not go on and win something very, very special? Then put out them players. They were incredible.
Big up yourself there, though, for getting in them squads in and amongst
Too
that. Do
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That is a big moment.
Yeah, huge.
So, as this is a Spurs podcast, same old Spurs. Let's go to your time at Tottenham. Obviously, we signed you off Brighton, right?
Yep.
And it was Glenn Hodder was manager at the time. So I think we'd been watching you for a while, and then you come into the Spurs fold. As you said, you got that goal against West Ham in the Cup. It was, it wasn't the easiest run for you at Spurs. Talk me through your time at Spurs and what the setup was at the time.
Absolutely loved it. Really, really did. Like, I come from Brighton. I'd obviously played, would have gone up every division. So I played in every division. We won championship, and then we played in, which was League One, the Championship then. And then I got my chance to go to Spurs, and it was like, what a club. Do you know what I mean? Huge, huge club with some fantastic players. So for me to walk into that changing room first day, I was quite lucky because I knew some of the boys. I grew up with Ledley, played with Ledley Sunday side. Gary
Not about Sunday side, that.
No, it was all right. Yeah, it was all right.
Who else was in that
John
team?
Terry, Paul
yeah.
Konchesky, J. Lloyd Samuels. It's mad. 5 of us all got England caps. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, not at the same time, but I mean that's mad that we all
Struggled
played
this
for the
week
same.
then. Every week struggling
we
with
were
it.
shit. Yeah, we were shit. But no, I loved my time at Spurs. Like I say, going in there, I knew some of the boys, and being able to train and play with Gus Poyet, Jamie Redknapp, Robbie Keane, Stephen Carr. Do you know what I mean? It was like Christian Ziege. It was like, wow, but they were fantastic. They were so good to me. Like, I would say Redders used to look after me, like, do you know what I mean? Put his arm around me, like, just
Did you ever deal with his dad? Well, yeah, Bobby's a top player.
yeah, he tried to sign me. He tried to sign me a couple of times, didn't he? So
Bobby, I'm going to get Nico down as well. Get yourself down there. Terrific player, Bobby. Lovely player.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Harry's puckered, but yeah, just the time where it was very special. I learnt a lot, played with some great players. So yeah, my memories at Spurs were very, very good. Really good, great times.
And at the time, as you said, I think my similar times when you've sort of made the transition over to West Ham. Spurs have moved massively forward as a club from, say, then, even just with the stadium and the training facilities, etc. What should Spurs' realistic expectations be right now? Because this is what I can often struggle with. And this is why, obviously, the podcast is called the Same Old Spurs Podcast, because it's like, oh, here we go, Spursy, and that word Spursy and stuff like that. But we want it to change, so it's Same Old Spurs, like when Man United in the 90s, they just won everything. What should the expectations be now of the club, and how have you seen it grown from the outside of looking in, and obviously being involved at the club at that time? It's a completely different place now, isn't it?
Yeah, they've gone all out. Fair play to them. They've spent a lot of money, stadium, training ground, everything. The academy, they've really gone for it. Even the whole NFL thing. I know that they were banking on getting the NFL in, and I think there's a bigger picture to that as well. Obviously, owning an NFL franchise, European-based team. Which would be huge, and I think that's ticking along in the background. But the club's made the moves, and I think it'll only be a matter of time until the trophies come, to be honest. And having somebody like Jose in charge, he, given time, given a bit of money, as he likes to spend, he will produce. I really believe that. And just as players, when you get offered clubs, and now that I don't think any player in the world would not look at Spurs as a serious option. So even your Messis, all those guys now are looking at the facilities. If they take you to London, one, you're in London, that's a massive sell anyway. Then you go to the training ground, the grounds, and the expectation and where the clubs go in the direction that they're going. I genuinely believe that they could sign anybody that they wanted right now.
And then that brings me on to the next part, which is West Ham. Obviously, we're playing West Ham. There's a lot of dismay amongst the fans and the owners and all that kind of stuff at the moment. You know, that for me, that stadium's an amazing stadium. They've got, you know, it's set up. I know the fans that love it. It's the same with the White Hart Lane versus the new stadium. Obviously, the soul's not there, but as a facility, it's incredible. And you know, again, another big London club, West Ham, a lot of history as well. The club with West Ham, where should they be aiming for, and are they achieving? Are they not?
The ground issue, for me, I mean, obviously the bowling. It was a very fantastic. But I grew up. I went there as a kid and played my games there. And but yes, listen, it's gone now. I suppose you know it's gone and it's onto to the Olympic Stadium. It's not owned by the club, so
No.
That's a really strange.
It's a big problem from the off, isn't it? Really.
That is, yeah. I find
You can't build the foundations if you don't own it.
you can't. They can't do anything in the ground without getting permission. Genuinely, they can't do any. They can't have an interview in some of the rooms. They can't use rooms
Wow.
in the building without somebody signing off.
Yeah, it's mad.
Like I went there to do a thing for a podcast for them, and they had to get permission to use a room. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can't use that room. Why? Because they didn't sign it off. It's like, I'm thinking to myself, what?
Yeah.
What? It's like ridiculous. It's madness that you can be a huge entity, being West Ham United, and have a ground that you play football at, but you're not actually allowed to do anything without Big Brother signing it off. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really, really strange scenario. I don't know if that was the right play, but it's cheap for them. It's a cheap option. They only pay.
£2 million a year rent.
That's mad.
That's the thing that I think irks most West Ham supporters, that we haven't had to outlay on £1 billion stadium like Spurs.
So where's the players?
Our training ground
Yeah.
is basically porta cabins.
Yeah.
£2 million a year
Yeah.
rent, and we was promised investment on the pitch, and it's just not come.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think. Yeah, where's all the money going then? If you're generating X, spending Y, do you know what I mean?
The West Ham's women's team, because the boys managing it.
To be fair though, from an outsider, not being obviously a West Ham fan, I have this chat with him a lot. They have spent money though, Bobby, haven't they? Like they've thrown it, but have they invested in the wrong type of player? Like you have spent though. If you pull out the list, you've thrown a bit of money around. You look at it like the Anderson one, like Heller, you've bought in. They're big. He's a big money signing. Like can you keep looking at the chairman for that not being recruited?
Yeah, that whole
recruitment's not right. Maybe.
No, I think that whole recruitment side is wrong. But to be honest, I like Moisey. I like Moisey. I think he's one of those that you give him a bit of time.
I mean, the players he has signed, Jared Bowen.
Yep.
Done well
Do
for
you know
us.
what? Do you know what?
Should have set the midfield. The
It seems
players
to me
he's buying,
it's like an old
spending
school,
wisely.
an old school English sort of changing room.
Yeah.
You've got players that are just going to roll their sleeves up and run around, which is half the battle. Do you know what I mean? In the Premier League, genuinely, if you got players that, no disrespect, Lanzini, Anderson, I was like, nah, because come December, or the old saying of Stoke on a Tuesday night, don't even bother. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and yeah, there are, like you say, Bowen and Souček and Deck and those guys. They're just going to roll their sleeves up and run around. You haven't got to question that.
Do you know what? It's interesting to go back to the point you made about who was in your Sunday team. I know Gazza's been keen to ask you about that team and like who was involved, and you know, wow, what a team! Like Gaz, we were talking about this on our walk the other day, weren't we?
Yeah, we was. He just mentioned a few of the names there, like from where you started off playing your football. And then how did that sort of progress? Like, so you obviously was playing at that level, and how did you get your break? How did you get that lucky step?
No luck.
No luck.
No luck. That bites me a little bit, you know. People saying, you was lucky. No, it isn't.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm with Bobby on that, obviously, from doing music, because it's just like,
You've
there's
got to
no
put a
such
graft.
thing as a lucky break. There's a break. So that's that. I think that's what it can be. I think that's what sometimes the language people get misconstrued with is that word lucky. It's like, no, I'm busted my bollocks off to do what I do.
Yeah.
But you do obviously have a moment. Someone might see something
take
in
that
you.
out, the break then.
The break.
No, but it's an interesting point, and I'm glad Bobby mentioned it because because people have worked hard. There's no such. I think even with luck, you make your own luck. So how does it go from being in amongst those amazing players and with them to then taking that next step? Like you said, hard work.
There's talent, and talent gets you so far, and then there's the dedication. You know what I mean? You've got to put the hours in, and that comes in any walk of life. Like you say, if you're on the decks or doing what you're doing, you've got to put the hours in. It ain't just going to come. It ain't just going to fall on your lap. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the young kids, I speak to or whatever. It's like, do what you've got to do, and then do a bit more. Do you know what I mean? It isn't rocket science. It genuinely isn't. Like, so many kids, I'm like, when you finish your session, go and pick up the bloody bibs. Go and pick up the cones. Like, if you're in an academy, I promise you now, the academy coach will see, oh, do you know, that kid, he does a little bit, you know what I mean? He's in the right place. And when it comes to, do I want him or him, and there's not a lot in it, they'll pick you. They'll pick that player who's gone and swept up, who's gone and picked up the bibs, who stayed a little bit later, who's done this. Do you know what I mean? It makes a lot of difference. It does.
Yeah,
it does. And I think the generation now, the kids now, the young guys now, where they don't have to do the jobs like we used to do. Do you know what I mean? Cleaning out the toilets and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Painting stuff in the changing rooms and stuff.
But there's a lot of players, ex-players that are here talking about that, and they're big advocates for that. They think that should still exist. Like that. Why 100%. Has that gone away? Why has that left the system? It shouldn't.
Yeah, HR and all that now has taken over.
Yeah,
and it's ridiculous. It's stupid in my eyes. Even just cleaning the players' boots. Like, the academy guys now don't even see the first team players, don't even know them. There's no interaction whatsoever. When I was a YTS, I cleaned Jamie Curitan's, Barry Hell's, Jason Roberts' boots. Do you know what I mean? And when they scored on the weekend, I'd get a goal bonus. Do you know what I mean?
Result.
Like,
they done a bit as well. Housing.
Oh, they were pucker. They were brilliant. Yeah. But you had that interaction with those players. Do you know what I mean? They would. I was an apprentice at Bristol Rovers, and I lived in digs. So on a weekend, you know what I mean? I didn't go home most weekends. I'd be up there. I might be up there on my own. They'd be like, what are you doing? We're on the way back from the game. You want to come meet us in town? I'm going out with, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, brilliant.
Like, it's fucking 17-year-old, and I'm going out with, like, the senior boys in the team. I was like, it was amazing. Do you know what I mean? They're looking after you. Whereas now, you wouldn't even say hello to an academy kid, because they wouldn't even say hello to you. They don't acknowowledge you. They just walk past you.
Are they told to do that, or just think that's an attitude thing?
Just an attitude thing. They're driving around in, like, Jesus Christ, my first car was a VW Golf. No, not even VW Golf. Like, it was a VW, like, Flintstone thing. Yeah, right. Yeah, and these kids are driving around in AMGs, like proper AMGs, not even just a badge on the back, a proper, you know what I mean, 6 litre thing. So
mental.
That upbringing that you're talking about and having to do those extra bits. Do you think that gave you a greater appreciation for when those moments came and you were in those situations and had those, like, wow, I'm starting and looking around, like you said, being involved in the England setup, getting that move to Tottenham at the time, like you said, moving up the leagues, is your appreciation levels greater?
Yeah, 100%. Going and playing in every division, you know what I mean? My first loan, I was an apprentice, and then I went on loan to Bath City in the Dr. Martin's Prem. Do you know what I mean? Wicked. Brilliant, absolutely loved it. Men's football, welcome, bang, smash, have that round the back of your head, and then league football. Do you know what I mean? Going to Brighton on loan and in Division 3, then signing for them and winning the championship, and then winning the championship the following year. It's like madness. It was
that was at their old stadium. We was watching a thing the other
the
day,
Wivdy,
smashing in goals there.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was like, what a place. Just going and experiencing every sort of changing room, like, I mean, going and playing in Torquay and Plymouth and all those places. Carlisle, shit, that's a long way. You know what I mean? You ain't flying there. You're on a coach. You know, from Brighton to Carlisle. It's like,
long.
It was good. It was grounding. It was so appreciation was there.
Because you had that level of appreciation and you've gone through that graft. When was the moment in your career that you looked around and went, hang about, I'm here? Because that happens sometimes, doesn't it? That it dawns on you that this is a reality now. Going from the kid playing in the park with your pals to now being a professional baller. Was there a particular moment, a particular selection, or a deal or something that happened?
I don't think so. No, because there was always the next level to get to. Do you know what I mean? There was always the next. Oh, I'm not there yet. And I don't think I ever got that. I've made it. I never had that
even you got to the Europa League final.
Yeah, European Cup didn't win it though, so it's like shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean what a team that was to be able to play in that team, well organised. Roy Hodgson was magnificent, genuinely. So good. I mean, we were almost topping ourselves at training because we do the same thing every single day in training. The same session every single day. You'd either call it a forward session, an attacking session, or a defensive session. And the thing is, it was pattern of play all the time. And looking back now, and only afterwards, you realise, do you know what? I could have played left back in that team because when he gets the ball, he's going to do this, he's going to run there, and you're going to have three options.
Yeah.
Just drilled. And at the time, we were like, this is so boring. But we beat Juventus, Shakhtar Donetsk, who are incredible, by the way, the best footballing team I've ever played against. We beat Wolfsburg, German champions, Juventus. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't go and beat them teams unless you've got something, and that is the reason. We were so organised.
Brilliant. And if you put a bit of Tottenham spin on that as well, like what Danny Murphy was doing for you at that time as well. Like it didn't quite really work out for him at Tottenham, but he went to Fulham in that team and he was doing bits. He was really, really good in that Fulham side.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah, organised. He was a good skipper, to be fair. He's busy. Do you know what I mean? He's busy, so he loves it. He loves an armband as well. So. but he's brilliant.
He lets you know he's
a good.
busy.
Yeah, he's good, mate. He's good. So like I say, everybody in that team, Roy recruited really well and got the right character of player, the right mentality of player. He had quite a lot of Scandinavians who I like. They're all in the same. They buy in. They want to work hard. So yeah.
That's so interesting that you said about like with Roy Hodgson, as again, you've had the pleasure of playing underneath him. Obviously, as England fans, we've looked in and gone, this was useless. But you've played under him and you're saying that he drilled you every week the right thing. And yeah, that Fulham team was a brilliant team that he was involved in. What kind of manager would you say he was then? As you said, if Mourinho's attention to detail, what is it with Roy that you enjoyed playing under?
He was just organised, just so organised that, like I said, anybody could have played in any position really because they'd have worked on the training ground, seen where the movements have to be, and it just comes second nature after. It's just like they say, golfers, if muscle repetition. If you do the same thing every single day, you'll get it. And we got it. Do you know what I mean? And you could have put me genuinely. You could have put me left back with the ball. I'd have been sweet. Without the ball, defensively, I wouldn't have known nothing. But you know where your options are, and you know where the players are going to make their runs.
And in terms of being a forward and scoring goals, that's what you live for as a forward. You want to score goals. The goals that stick out in your mind, and maybe for you, Andrew, as well, the goals that he scored for West Ham that might stick out in your mind. What are those big moments for you that they? Even now you can listen. Like playing football for Norseman in Edmonton, I still remember the goals that I scored when I was like 10, 11.
And he lets everyone know as well. Do you remember that goal?
Scored a couple of crackers against him. Yeah, I did. A great one. R.I.P. Black the Ripper, my brother, who's no longer with us. We were doing the getting jiggy with it on the halfway line at Enfield's ground, so that was a big moment for me. So if I can remember it, what are the goals that stick out for you in your mind and the big games?
I'll give you that one as well, by the way.
The Arsenal ones, really. Those Arsenal ones. Playoff final, obviously, for West Ham was special. Birmingham's a good goal, yeah. It's overshadowed though, really. Like no one. If like I said, I've said that many times. If Messi had scored that, Ronaldo scored it.
Go back and watch that. Unbelievable.
It'd be on like Sky Sports now. Still the adverts. Telling you, if it was Ronaldo, I'm telling you. Everton game at home, we won 1-0, smashed one in the top bins.
What about the QPR game?
The playoff final, yeah, fantastic as well. Yeah, just
football's crazy though.
How did you celebrate that night after winning that game?
Such a letdown. You shouldn't even have asked that. Really, so bad, so bad. Like I drove home, right? I drove home with my wife, mother-in-law, father-in-law, 2 daughters in the car. Dropped them off at the pub and went home and had a cup of tea.
Oh,
what a letdown that is, isn't it? What a letdown. No, I think it was just like the build-up, the hype of the whole game. Bam, the goal, everything. Mad. Shit, sit down. Let me just watch. I just put my feet up.
Antiques Roadshow on?
Yeah. It's Lovejoy.
Lovejoy.
I mean, yeah, just it was a real letdown.
Unlike Ledley coming out of faces after the Spurs game.
Leathers, man, he's a ledge.
Actually, do you know, that's a great point to go on to with Ledley King. For us as Spurs fans, this guy is the king of the lane. He is one of our own. He's literally, I've had the pleasure because of my bro MC Kai to go to his house and pick up tickets. Probably better day than my wedding, don't tell my wife. But what was he like as a personality and as a player from a youngster?
Always quite quiet though, you know. I remember as like Sunday team, always quite quiet, chilled, pretty much as you see him.
Yeah,
you know, but he's got a bark at the right time, you know, when on the pitch. I always used to quite like playing against him. I don't know whether that is because I played against him for so many, you know, in training as a kid. I don't know, but I'd always enjoyed playing against him. I always done half well against him. Do you know what I mean? I scored a few goals for Fulham against at White Hart Lane and always done okay. So, but yeah, what a career he's had and what a player, what a gentleman. And hopefully, I mean, he's in the coaching staff now there at the club, and hopefully he can go on and do some good things on that front as well.
Yeah, I did see a picture the other day of Jose Mourinho, Gareth Bale and King together. I literally had to stop myself from pleasuring myself. It was that beautiful to see. It was a powerful picture. Yeah. We were talking on the walk the other day about the team that Bobby played in with like, the likes of John Terry and stuff like that. Was he always a central defender? Was that where he started off?
I always say. It's mad that you always hear stories that people like they end up at left back and they're like forwards all their life and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, he was centre midfield. He was always a centre midfielder. Ledders was at the back. We had Paul Konchesky who would play left midfield. J. Lloyd Samuels would play left midfield as well, really, but they'd switch over. But yeah, JT was centre midfielder. Always been a forward. Yeah, and I was always tiny.
Tiny.
Yeah, mad.
Tiny.
This man tiny.
Yeah,
I was always,
that's an exclusive.
Listen, they all little Bobby Z used to call me.
Wow, I can't see little Bobby.
Short and sharp. I was sharp, you know. So yeah.
The thing is, now you see clubs are going around and they're trying to get this player and they're looking for this player, and like every club needs goal scorers now. They're just a dying breed. It don't seem to be that clubs can't be able to get someone in the door and just go and get them 15, 20 goals a season. Do you know what I mean? Like now for you, you'd be...
It's madness. Even the transfer fees that you see flying about crazy, now, mate. It's like, wowza. They're just mind-blowing, the numbers that are flying about.
It's crazy, mate.
It's mad. I mean, my biggest transfer... Well, Spurs tried to sign me from Fulham. Harry tried to sign me from Fulham.
Really?
Bobby, is Harry come back to the club? You're a drop player. You know? I've got Nico, I've got Krejci. You'd think lovely, lovely.
Yeah, he tried to sign me in January. The same, and Liverpool tried to sign me as well. The same time from Fulham, and I and Al Fayed said I weren't for sale, so I ended up getting a new deal. But it was I just had our little our last little one, so it was like just the whole time and was mental. It was the summer, but I signed a deal and broke my leg the next day.
Oh.
No, it wasn't good. That's good. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I signed a deal, man. It wasn't like in the pipeline.
Yeah.
It was like that was mad. That was mad. You know what I mean? I had from Spurs, Liverpool to on the phone within a week signing a new deal. I signed it on a Friday. On a Saturday, I broke my leg. It was like... As
a footballer, though, do you like teams like Liverpool in for you? Do you ever go... is there ever a moment where you sit down with the missus and go...
That may be my only regret, I think, maybe looking back.
Had Roy gone to Liverpool at that point?
Roy had gone to Liverpool.
So I want Big Bobby with him.
Yeah.
Not little Bobby Z no more.
Yeah.
Big Bobby, get him over.
Big Bob, yeah, he knows. Yeah, and
well, you played very well for me. So come to Liverpool.
That and even Spurs, you know, like again, you know, it's Harry and it was but I ended up staying, so it's what it is.
Yeah, you can't rewrite history, so it's what I'm thinking about. So all those clubs that you played at, England international as well, you know, that's a great career. Who are the players that stick out in your mind that you played with? You know, there's always players that you think, oh God, he was a player, or you know, if you could, the people that you've played with, the ones that stick out for you. If you had to pick a top 5.
Shit, that's hard.
You're not allowed to mention Sol Campbell either, because MC Kai's already picked Sol Campbell and his Spurs top 5. They've got a lot of slack.
Top 5 players. Mate, honestly, that's so hard.
I can imagine how hard that is after the players that you played with. But ones that stick out in your mind. I tell you what I'd like to know.
How about one from each team?
Yeah,
lovely.
That's a good one.
That's even harder for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's go Brighton. My first time round at Brighton would probably be a guy called Paul Watson.
Yeah,
who was a fullback there. He played right back, but he was left-footed. But he just had some unbelievable delivery. Like, you just run and it is going exactly where you want it. And
the striker's dream.
Oh, unbelievable. We had a great connection. I'll just, go short and spin, and he would just put it exactly where it needs to be.
Brilliant.
One touch and goal. And the amount of quick free kicks he'd take, because he'd come up, it'd be a free kick. I'd win the free kick on the edge of the box or just out wide down the channel sort of thing. I'd put the ball down. I'd walk in jog towards the box. Because he's left-footed. He's like standing the other side, and he'd whip it that
It's
way.
mental,
Before
crazy.
anyone switched on. So I'm running. He's whipped it. Defenders are like, oh shit, it's a quick one.
Kane
Goal.
and Son last week.
Goal,
Yeah.
quick, sharp, mad. So probably Paul, Spurs, Robbie Keane.
Keno, love
Straight
Robbie.
off the bat there, Robbie, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
do you know what? He scored the
Have to think
greatest,
about it.
the greatest goal I've ever seen in training. Like, we're playing a five-a-side. Well, it's about 7-a-side, right? And you got the goal here, and you got the byline along now. And he stood with his, like, the goal's to the right of him, and he's tight to the line. The ball zinged into him, yeah. And he stabs it with his foot, jabs it like that, smashes it, and the keeper's come to the near post because he's only probably 7 yards away from the near post. So he's sort of come to the near post. He's jabbed it. It's landed like 5 yards away from the goal, but with backspin.
Right.
And shot back into the goal. I swear, mate, I promised you, not a fluke, like he fucking meant it. And the whole training ground, everyone just like... Oh,
He seems to be a training ground don. There's other goals he
he's a
scored. I've seen like videos of
Yeah.
for LA Galaxy and stuff in training.
Yeah, he's
Unbelievable.
special. He's special. Great lad as well. Yeah, what a player.
He seems like a great lad.
Yeah.
Go on then. So West Ham.
West Ham, best player I played with.
You play with Tevez, right?
Yeah, Carlos, Mascherano, yeah. Those two.
Not
yeah,
bad. Not a bad double signing. Those two.
Nah, they were good. They were.
Play with Yossi Benayoun.
I had a real good connection with Yossi. Yeah, I mean, when you're just in those 5-a-sides and you'd make a little shimmy and a run, he'd always find you, and vice versa. You just have that connection. Yossi probably up there, to be honest. Yeah, Tevez weren't the greatest trainer though. No, he weren't the greatest trainer.
Didn't fancy
but no, just was never like
Turned up.
on match day. Yeah, he'd always run around. It was funny with Carlos because that great escape year. We'd sort of play 3 up front, 1 up front, and it would be me and Carlos, and whoever was closest to the right wing when we lost the ball had to be right wing back. So from time to time we'd lose possession and we'd look at each other, and piss each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're closest, you've got to sprint back. But he was happy to do the graft. I'm happy to do the graft, and yeah, so he was a good player. Fulham. Damien Duff.
I was going to say Duff.
Again, what a player, what an attitude. Created loads of goals and just had that great understanding. The ball would come into him, he'd flick it round the corner and follow his pass. And for me, just on the edge of the box, hold the defender off, set him, bang.
That's the thing, as a forward player, that's the kind of synergy you want with people. There's that understanding. It's just like, I think maybe you play with players like you can be frustrated that you're not getting the ball. Trust me with the ball, these kind of players that you're talking about that you've had connections with. That's so important as a striker, isn't it? Just knowing what you're going to do.
Yeah, you get the understanding, whether you're a centre-back pairing that just have that understanding, whether you know what I mean, a winger and a fullback that just have that understanding. It's the same for a striker. You just need those players to understand you, have that connection. You know exactly what they want and where you want the ball, and when you get it, it's frightening, and the results you can get are frightening as well.
So it leads us on nicely to obviously the big game next weekend. Score predictions. It's always hard to predict. The Premier League is the hardest league, I think, in the world to predict. I wouldn't really want to be doing too many accumulators. Going into this game now, no fans in the stadium as well, bearing that in mind, because I think the West Ham fans play a massive part in those games. What do you think the result's going to be next weekend?
I was I was so fearful at the start of this season for West Ham. First game Newcastle, and then it was like in the first 8 games it was top 7 teams from last year, right?
Getting a point up until
Oh my God, I was so fearful. But Wolves, Leicester, where they are, where their mindset is. It'll be interesting to see how many of the Spurs boys come back from international.
Not injured because
Well, there's
there's
talk
injured.
already of Harry's got picked
Yeah,
up a little
so-
niggle. So.
To be honest, I'm going to go with 2-2. I think that I think that the work ethic from West Ham is going to be there. Spurs obviously have a great quality, but I just think that West Ham in that where they are at the minute from those last 2 results will certainly give them a little push.
You go for the 2-2, Andrew?
Listen, if Spurs turn up and play to their potential, they've got better players. But I'm confident the way that we're playing. I think as long as if I do see one chink in Spurs' armour, and they're covered pretty much everywhere now, is at centre half.
Yeah.
And I think the way Antonio's playing,
Buffalo.
I can give him one little chance. Whether it'll be enough, so I'm going to go 2-1 to West Ham.
He's a threat, Antonio.
I'm a
as
big
well,
fan
do
of
you know what I mean?
Antonio.
Yeah, big
Really,
time.
I think he's underrated.
Yeah,
I think
I do.
people need to put some respect on his name because
He for me has grown and improved, because to be honest, when I played against him a few times,
Raw.
just pure Buffalo. That's what I would say. Just so strong, so raw. But he seems to have honed his skills, which fair play to him. And yeah, he's looking like a more rounded player. Which is dangerous, which is certainly dangerous for anyone coming up against
talking
him.
about earlier, Bobby, again in the training ground, do a bit more, and it looks like he's doing exactly that, because
Yep.
he's definitely got better for West Ham, definitely, and he is a threat with our centre halves, because we are a little bit flaky in that area. There's no doubt about that. You can pick, for me, as I said to you, we said numerous times, you can have them 3 names in a hat: Sanchez, Toby, and Dyer, and you can just pick any 2 of the 3. Like, honestly, it's like that for me.
Yeah, I think that's been their weakness for a good few years, though. To be honest, Vertonghen, I used to love playing against him. I was like, yeah, superb. Let me go and stand on him. Do you know what I mean?
A question I'd like to ask is: do you think those centre halves, like, they're a dying breed now? Like, you can't, you know, the ones that go and edible,
Yeah.
go and tackle,
Oh.
get your body in there. Like, you
Oh,
can't
mate.
do any of that anymore, Bobby.
No.
You can't do that. So now you've got to be able, from the get-go, to be able to play a ball, be able to spray a ball, be able to short stuff. It's changed.
It's changed so much.
That's why you look at Man City; they throw so much money at it, but yet they can't get a decent centre half at the club.
I think they're better off just buying 2 proper meatheads that are just going to stay
Yeah.
there. Genuinely,
yeah.
some quick, strong, tough tacklers. I'll be honest with you, right? For me, I know everyone goes, oh, no, still no. Lewis Dunk at Brighton, right? I played with him. He's a good defender and he can play a lot as well. Like, but he seems to be just over. You know, like if he was at Arsenal or Man United or somewhere like that, he would be incredible. Like, genuinely, he's better than Maguire, hands down. I think someone like Spurs should take him.
Yeah, mate.
Genuinely, he's good.
There's been rumours and little links
Good.
in the past.
He's a good player.
But as you said, Gaz, I think a lot of people, because too many teams try and play the total football, these kind of players are getting overlooked when, as you said, as a forward, like, it's interesting for me to hear you go, oh, Jan Vertonghen, lovely jubbly. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Mate, honestly, there are games where I used to go, who the centre? Pucker, sweet. Right, and I'd just go and stand on their toes. Just go and stand on one centre half's toes and go, come on, stick it over here. Fucking hold up a minute, stay there a second, boom, boom.
Really?
Just drop.
You had them ones,
just go and pick one of the centre halves.
is that just because they're lacking in physicality? They're not, they just don't want it.
Just bully the life out of them. It's finished. Done. Johnny Evans, oh, man, ruined him.
Mate, crazy insight to that, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
just
crazy.
I used to love playing against him. Jamie Carragher, I used to love playing against Jamie Carragher. Loved it.
Didn't spit at you, did he?
No, he's
I love
but yeah, just mad, really. Like, I tell you who I wouldn't like to play against Sanchez, because he's so raw. You don't know where he's going to be. You know, like, I'm asking for the ball. I'm going to put my hand out. He's going to be there. No, he ain't there. He's coming from over there with his leg high. Do you know, like, just off the cuff,
reckless almost.
yeah. And same as what's his name, Bailey at Man United. Another one, just so like raw and just madness that you just don't know where. For me, I need to know where the centre half is, hold him, and just bring people into play.
Who was the greatest centre half you played against then? That you thought, oh my god,
Carvalho.
Yeah,
Mate,
what a
so
player.
good, so good. But that was because he used to.
He had a brain on him, didn't he?
Yeah, he was clever. So if you're running from one side of the pitch across and the ball's going across, so from our right back to our left back, and the ball's going across and you're starting on the right. As you're going across, he stepped in front of you. He's clipped your ankle. He's pinched you. He's pulled you. So by the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th time, and that ball's going across there, you're not looking where that ball is. You're looking where he is. Where's he going to do? What's he going to do now?
Yeah, you're
and then, you're just not looking. And that split second, that 1-2 seconds makes a big difference. And then there's like the old school pinch, the old little, and just loads of little things. And then you get frustrated. You go up. You really want to hurt him. You ain't hurt him, but he's rolled around. You've got yellow cards, and he's just like pucker.
Intelligent.
So good.
That
So
was
good.
back to Mourinho in the documentary.
Oh,
Intelligent
so good.
ants.
Oh, yeah.
Not
so
stupid
good.
ants.
Yeah.
Intelligent ones.
Oh, exactly that. But him and Terry were fantastic. Vidic and Ferdinand, fantastic. Vidic
Didn't care about his face.
Exactly that. So his nose was in the back of my forehead. Rio's 10 yards further back, picking up the pieces, looking $1 million. And those two worked so well. The ball used to come up and guaranteed Vidic is going to smash the life out your back of your head and whatever. But no, good, fantastic. Love those battles and
Brilliant.
See him. I see him in Mallorca a few years ago.
Johnny Evans no good, no.
No, he's good. No, he's a good player, but it's just one of those players that just suited me.
There are players that you play against for your game,
for my game,
suited
perfect.
They would hate playing against you probably as well.
Yeah.
They'd be like, fuck.
Yeah,
This geezer does me all the time. And
whereas they'd have loved to have played against the short
Gregor
sharp.
Krasiak for Tottenham back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, post football now, it's you've had a great career. Where's things at now? Is coaching on the agenda? Are you doing the more media stuff? What is it for you now? Are you still in love with the game, or are you very much? I've had my time. I'm happy. What happened, and now I'm good to chill.
When I first packed it up, it was like, done. Thank God for that, because when you do it for 20 years, your body takes an absolute beating. Like my last 2 years of footy were not enjoyable.
Really?
The amount of injections, pills, drugs that you had to try and take just to get out to training. I used to only train one day. Last year at Brighton, I trained 1 day a week, really. And that was painful. Do you know what I mean? It hurts. Getting out of bed in the morning, those first 10 steps, not nice. Were not nice at all. So I didn't miss it for the first 2 years. Yep. I'm missing it now, and I watch a lot more football now, just
refinding the energy for it after so much energy's gone in.
Yeah, I think so, really. But in terms of being a manager or anything like that, no, I don't think I could. Probably the last thing on my mind. If I could pick my perfect role, I'd love to go in, work with the strikers, 2 days a week, just focus on them, their movements, finishing.
Bit of a Sir Les role in the early days when Les started doing it.
Yeah, really, but not the ins and outs of the club, just because of the politics now. How much HR and bullshit goes on with clubs that you've got to do now is ridiculous. So for me, no, but starting to fall back in love with the game, really, and watch a lot more footy.
Cosy have seen the striker, didn't they? Get big Bobby Zamora up there on a Sunday. They could have done with him today.
Useless, the geezer up front for us.
So, a lot of football players, obviously Gareth Bale's been caned for his love of golf. Is there any extra activities that you were doing during football you might still do now that you are in love with as much as, and it helps, especially for mental health? I think especially that it's been World Mental Health Day over the last weekend, and I'm a massive advocate of it. Is there anything that you do away from football that's your time that gives you that sort of regrouping?
I love fishing. I absolutely love it. I've done for many, many years. Just love being out by the lake. Quiet, chilled. Got yourself a target and a challenge, and just trying to capture the
thrill.
The target fish that you're after, really. I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's the biggest participating sport in the UK.
Yeah, so many people love it, don't they? It's a big thing.
They all love it. So that's the main thing for me. Absolutely love it, and I'm on the bank as much as I can now.
And was you fishing during the football days as well?
Yeah, I was trying to, mate, but it's just the time, the amount of time. and you can never really pencil in a day, because with football it's like you win and you got 3 days off, you lose and you're in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Double treble sessions, so you can't
Madness.
It's hard, but now I've retired. I've certainly got a bit more time now to be able to go out and do my passion.
So they might see you on the bank somewhere.
For sure.
Well, listen, Bobby, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you very much. Gaz, anything else you want to ask?
Pleasure, mate, being in your company. Speak really well, know your stuff. And that's really it, Andrew. Anything you want to say?
Pleasure, West Ham legend.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased to meet you.
Cheers, chaps. Loved
Thanks
it.
a lot. Same
Good
on
time.
Spurs. That's the big game next weekend, obviously on Sunday. I think it's the 18th of October. We will be back after that game to review the game. Hopefully it's a good game. We was on absolute jubilant spirits. There was no 2 weeks' wages, no 50-50s last time. Hopefully we don't have to give anyone 2 weeks' wages again. But from Bobby, Gazza, Andrew and myself, Madge, thank you so much. It's been Same Old Spurs. Until next time.